Are you tired of feeling creatively drained? I get this, friend. I understand it completely because I've dealt with the same thing in my business when I first started. I was completely drained from creating content, which caused me to take a whole entire year off of creating organic content in my business. Let's say I do not recommend that to anyone. So today I'm going to give you 5 tips for dealing with that creative burnout so that you can stay motivated to create content in your business. And you want to know the best thing? You're going to get that energy you need to grow your online business. Hello, friends. If we haven't met before, my name is Michele, and welcome to the Content Systems for Growth podcast. I am so happy to have you here on episode 71 with me. It is all too common for online entrepreneurs to suffer from creative burnout. In my experience, this was another reason for my inconsistency with long-form organic content. Motivating yourself can be difficult when you lack that inspiration and drive. Fortunately, there are so many ways to prevent burnout when it comes to your creative output, but what's the actual signs that you're running up against creative burnout? Well, today we're going to talk about that. What are the actual signs of creative burnout? Let's get into today's topic where we are going to cover 5 tips for dealing with creative burnout and staying motivated during those low energy and lackluster creativity periods. First, I want to step back so we can recognize what the signs of creative burnout actually are. So I'm guessing that you do already have a pretty good idea of what creative burnout is for you, because they can be different for all of us. But here's a few things that I want you to watch for. These are the common signs that you may be on the road to creative burnout. One is overwhelming exhaustion. Another could be lack of motivation. You have difficulty focusing, procrastinating, and missing those deadlines. You're irritable and reduced creativity. Now, this one is definitely me. You can ask my husband because he can tell when I'm completely stressed and about ready to burn out because I'm irritable and every little thing bothers me. And one other thing is low energy. So if any of these symptoms sound familiar to you, it's time to take a step back and evaluate your workload and stress management strategies. I want you to look at all the things that you're doing through the lens of the 4 Ds. I want you to do, defer, delegate, or delete. While tracking your time may sound awful to some, it really is necessary so you can get a good scope on where you're spending your time. Do you have anything that you could delegate or outsource? Once I let go of the fear of having to support another person with my business, outsourcing to a content VA increased my revenue. I'll go ahead and put a link down below to an episode that I did earlier about what to prepare before you hire a content assistant. Let's get into my tips though, because this is going to be a long one. I'm already going to warn you guys on that. So the 5 tips for dealing with creative burnout and so that you can stay motivated in your business, well, the number one is taking breaks and recharging. It's funny, when our to-do list is endless, taking a break doesn't sound like the thing to do. But here's the thing, regular breaks throughout the day are essential for managing your energy levels and preventing your burnout. You may not love the Pomodoro method. Perhaps you've tried it in the past. However, it is helpful to remind you to take those necessary breaks throughout your day. So one thing that I did discover for myself is that the 25-minute sprint is a little short for me personally. That 25-minute mark is when I actually just start to hit my groove. I know the science behind it will tell you otherwise, but I know me, and for me, that's when I actually really get into my groove and find my pace. So you could be the same way. Maybe that 25 minutes is not the right sequence or cadence for you personally. You have to find what works for you. So I encourage you to take breaks each day to re-energize yourself and reconnect with what matters most. When you take a break from work to refresh and renew yourself with activities such as a quick walk, loading the dishwasher, or listening to music during a 10-minute clean, yes, those may be things that I do personally. If you're feeling lazy and you need a complete recharge, try a guided meditation. And when you're feeling like the life has been sucked out of you, grab your earbuds and hit the sofa and do a yoga nidra practice. So that's yoga nidra, Nidra practice. I can guarantee you, you will feel energized by it. Also, make sure that you're getting enough restful sleep as well. This will help ensure that you have the energy necessary for tackling your projects with enthusiasm. Setting boundaries and prioritizing tasks is number 2. What most people don't realize is how long tasks actually take to get them done. Because of this, those tasks just feel daunting. Begin to set boundaries around how much work you take on is important when it comes to avoiding burnout. If you struggle with saying no, be sure to read my post on overcoming the yes to everything mindset. I'll go ahead and put the link down below to episode 66. I want you to focus on one task at a time. New studies have shown that we really aren't all that great at multitasking. If you focus on one task, it will take you less time. Are you terrible at prioritizing what to work on next? Begin with the deadline and put the tasks in order in that manner. I'm not sure about you, but I have to lay out my plan for what I'm working on during the week before I even begin my week. Otherwise, I get some harebrained idea, and before I know it, I'm 6 hours in and wondering what the heck I just did. Stop chasing shiny objects by planning ahead. Prioritizing your tasks according to importance so that the most pressing matters are tackled first in your business or in your day. That's when I recommend it. Once you have prioritized your tasks according to the importance based on your deadlines, you'll understand the urgent matters before you move on to those less pressing ones. I have one suggestion for you as well here. Choose icons or emojis and add them to the front of the tasks that are your top priorities. Well, I know if you have a project management software, you can add a priority to these different individual tasks. However, if you're easily distracted, having a little icon or an emoji that calls out your most important tasks, you'll find work wonderful. The same thing can be done with your paper planner as well. Just be sure you have a little key until you have formed the habit. You will love this system, I promise you. The next one is staying motivated during those difficult times. Remaining consistent with your content creation when you're not seeing the fruits of your labor can be tough. It's important to remember that you're not alone in this crazy online world of entrepreneurship. There's so many of us out there doing the exact same thing. I want you to remember to always pray about it. There has been countless times in my life and business journey when I have dropped to my knees out of frustration and worry. When we're not sure where to turn to our Heavenly Father. That is where you need to turn. When you're not sure what is the next right step, pray about it. All I can say is pray about it, pray about it, pray about it. And if you're upset about what I'm saying here, I'm not your person, just so you know. Let's also not forget about celebrating those small wins and progress along the way. This is one of the best ways to stay on track and remain focused. Friends, episode 50 is about celebrating your small wins. I'll put the link to that episode down below as well. Please, for the love, acknowledge your accomplishments, no matter how small they may seem. When you look at the small everyday win, it will keep you motivated when things get tough, when you're feeling overwhelmed, when you don't want to create the content, when you don't want to record the podcast, when you don't want to do the thing. Look at the things that you have done so far to this point in your business and use that as the motivation to stay on track. One other thing that I want to mention here is draw motivation from your business besties is also a great way to be motivated and to keep on track with things. If you're someone that needs that outside accountability, you can find motivation by seeking out those who have achieved what you aspire to and use their words as encouragement and as the proof that anything is possible with dedication. Understand what motivates you and reward yourself periodically along the way. You may want to treat yourself to a nice little meal or some chill out time. It'll help keep you going when you feel like you may just want to give up. Staying motivated during difficult times is a key factor for maintaining your creative productivity. By managing stress levels and developing healthy habits, you can avoid burnout and continue to stay productive when the going gets tough, friend. Number 4 is managing stress levels to avoid burnout. Yeah, I know, rocket science here, right? But burnout is a very real issue that affects many entrepreneurs, especially those who work in the online business space and the health and wellness coaching field. It's funny how we can encourage others to recognize and manage stress levels effectively, but it's something that we quickly overlook for ourselves. So here are a couple suggestions to beat that creative burnout. The best way to avoid burnout is to establish good, healthy routines, say no to those additional tasks, and take regular breaks. All things that we have already talked about. But forming these routines are a great way to handle your stress levels. And establishing a balanced lifestyle that includes regular meal times that are not at your desk, friends, sufficient sleep each night, no more working late into the evening. I know that was one of the things I did so much before I hit my wall or my burnout. I would come into the office after I tucked my kids into bed at night and just cry as I sat there and tried to create content because I was so exhausted. Another thing that I let slip off when I did this was a consistent exercise routine. So avoid all the overdoing and make sure that you are setting up daily routines or time blocks with specific tasks at certain times to help you keep your workflow organized and prevent overwhelm from taking over your life, friends. Number 5, or the final thing here, is learn to say no and set limits on your workload. Now, as an entrepreneur, it is easy to get caught up in trying to please everyone and serve everyone around you by saying yes too often. However, this can lead to overextending yourself, which can result in burnout. While we hit on setting boundaries earlier and saying no, it's important enough that I want to circle back on it. Learning when it's appropriate and necessary to say no is key. Setting boundaries on how much work you can take on each week is so important. Make sure not only that your workload isn't too heavy, but also there's still room left for being present with your family and a little downtime. And it's not all about the creative work and the work in your business. Make sure you understand when you take on new things in your personal life as well. Like really do a time assessment if you can afford to give away your time. It is your most valuable resource. And always prioritize looking after yourself above anything else. You know how they say you can't pour from an empty cup? Make sure you're carving out time during the day just for yourself where you don't have any obligations or expectations. whether it's just going for a walk outside or sitting down and reading a book. Whatever helps bring peace into your life, you should do that without hesitation. Make sure you create that white space in your calendar and in your day. This will help ensure that both your mental health and your productivity remains high, even when you're facing those challenging tasks that you have ahead of you. Managing stress levels is essential to avoid that burnout and should be taken very seriously. By understanding your triggers, developing those specific coping mechanisms for you, and creating your support network, you can prevent those episodes of creative burnout. So all of these things will help you build your resilience and prevent any future burnouts from happening. You see, taking a year off from creating organic content in my business was a huge setback for me. I'm sure that one's a shocker. But I understand now that things happen for you and not to you. This happened to me so that I could truly embrace creating content and fall in love with the process. With that said, if you even think that you're on the road to burnout, take a step back and figure out the root cause. One of the keys to avoid burnout is to build self-resilience. Understand your boundaries is essential to avoiding burnout. It's important to identify what causes you stress and learn how to deal with it in order to avoid burnout in the future. For example, if deadlines cause you undue stress, consider breaking up those tasks into small chunks and dividing it up over a timeline to allow you to have flexibility when you're completing your projects. The ability to cope with stressful situations is also critical to build that resilience against burnout in the future. This includes taking breaks throughout your day or engaging in those calming activities when you need to, such as a meditation or doing a yoga nidra practice. It's important to maintain those healthy lifestyles that include nutritious eating, adequate rest, and regular physical activity away from your desk in order to feel energized and ready to tackle those challenging duties that come with entrepreneurship, so you can do them without feeling overwhelmed. Managing stress and overcoming challenges may be easier with the support of a business bestie who gets the online business world. Having somebody there who understands your struggles and is willing to listen can make all the difference when dealing with challenging situations in your life and business. By building strong relationships with people and similar lifestyles, you can express yourself without the fear of judgment and get that emotional support during your difficult times, which will help you avoid creative burnout in the future. Wow, friend, this is not quite as long as I thought it was going to be, so I'm thankful for that, but it's time to wrap it up. Realizing the signs of exhaustion and prevent creative burnout is essential for your online business. By implementing some simple tips to dealing with creative burnout and staying motivated, such as identifying what triggers you, managing your own stress levels, building your resilience, and setting achievable goals, can ensure that your creativity remains intact in those difficult situations. Taking proactive measures will help you stay focused on achieving success while avoiding unnecessary fatigue or frustration. Take control of your creative burnout and stay motivated by downloading the free copy of our organic content creation workflow. We all know that creating workflows may be daunting, but necessary to help you create quality, engaging content that keeps your audience engaged. Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate you, and I hope you have a wonderful week. Yay! Thank you so much for listening. I hope that you found this episode valuable and learned some actionable tips that you can implement in your business so that you can feel accomplished and less stressed. If you enjoyed this show, please take a quick minute to share this with your business bestie, subscribe, and leave a review. It helps me reach more business owners just like you. And if you have any questions or topics you'd like me to cover in future episodes, please reach out to me on my website. I've created a form just for you. Remember, with the right system and mindset, you can achieve the success your heart desires. Thank you for tuning in. I look forward to chatting with you next time. I appreciate you, and I hope you have a wonderful week. And don't forget, let's grow, friends.